No one's fun anymore. Whatever happened to fun?
The Drag Dungeon Podcast with your hosts, Jay and John.
Hey, welcome back to the broadcast, your favorite podcast. You asked for this shit if you're easily offended. We don't recommend it. You asked for this shit, so here it is.
You. I'll tell you how I'm doing. Not well, bitch.
Let's transition into And Just Like That. Now, we're going to talk about episode 4 and 5. Did you watch those?
I did.
We're gonna speed round it because there's a lot, and I can't remember. It's so problematic and chaotic that half the time my mouth is just agape. Like, what the hell is going on in this show? Who is at the wheel? Thoughts?
Yeah.
Overall, general.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I'll start out saying that I think the beginning of episode 4 really sort of summed up this whole season, this whole series, when Carrie put on that tutu dress and looked mortified. She looked embarrassed. She looked totally embarrassed, and that's it. Embarrassed to wear the tutu dress that totally describes this whole entire series. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, because it's like they're trying to trigger us with nostalgia and make us love something it's over. Now, I remember when the first or second movie came out, they did kind of like a similar, in the commercial, she was going around the corner. Do you remember this in the commercial? She was wearing a white dress with a big ass flower on it with gold on it. And it was kind of like an iconic dress, but it wasn't the tutu. But it was a moment because she looked so great in it, and it was a very signature style dress. The tutu thing it's done. And by the way, when a tutu is dragging on the dirty New York City pavement, it's time to hang it up.
That's disgusting. It's disgusting.
And it's not I hate the idea that because she's 55, because they must have 20-year-olds writing this, because 55 to them is 80. You can no longer show your legs, you can't dye your hair, you can't get Botox. You're breaking hips. I mean, it's bizarre what people's idea of 55 is. To me, it is. But yeah, the tutu. And the episode opens up with her laying in bed looking like shit, and depressed in her old apartment. I'm like... Let's see. I took some screenshots to jog my memory.
I needed this to not be so sad.
Okay.
It needed to not be so sad, you know?
Were you tempted by Sex and the City 3? Everybody got...
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Let's quickly talk about how Charlotte has never met a black person and has no idea how to speak to them, interact with them. She's like, do black people speak English? We have black people in New York City? I mean, it's wild. I can't believe she agreed to do this, to deliver this performance. It's absurd. She's with a group of school moms outside her kid's school with that gorgeous actress, that Nicole Parker. No. I forgot her name. The beautiful chick that lives in her building or whatever. Kind of like the boss. She's the best character, but she's a little boring. Anyway, I forget what the conversation was. Now I totally forgot. Oh, she's trying to... The new pretty chick invites her to a dinner party, and she's like, oh my God, we don't know any black people, Harry, her husband. That was the essence of, I felt, the conversation. We have to bring some black people or know some more before we can attend a black person's dinner party. I mean, it's ridiculous. Was that too much?
Yeah, I think this is really lazy storytelling.
Lazy. Poor choices.
I think it's so lazy. You could just pick something. Let's pick racial inequality, which I think is so important and everything like that. I'm not criticizing that platform. It's just when you have a TV show and you aren't creative enough, that becomes the sole, one of those sole topics, because I just feel like they could have had this as well as other things. I mean, what is it? It's racial inequality, gender issues like this box and this box and this box.
It's the
There isn't,
equivalent.
like,
It's kind of the equivalent of having the old tropes like the sassy black neighbor, the sassy gay neighbor, best friend gay accessory guy. Like, it's lazy. It's just like, yes,
well, they have that.
They do. Well, one now, who is oddly taking
Yeah.
Stanford's. That's bizarre. We'll get to that.
The other one's in Japan, aka Hell.
What a great ending for his storyline. I don't know. Hold on, I'm looking at my screenshots. This is the only way I can jog my memory. Okay, Carrie's selling her apartment to go live back in the one that everybody knows and loves. And she meets Seema, the beautiful Indian chick. I think she's Indian. She's actually
she's gorgeous.
one of the more tolerable new characters. She's actually kind of cool, and she checks Carrie in this episode, which I really liked. So Carrie's like, and she smokes. So we got Carrie date. She's going to be fucking again, and she's smoking. So we're getting back to the source material, which I like. Because Carrie Bradshaw smokes. She wears fur coats. She's a little slutty, and she, that's the Carrie I like. In the short tutu, please, with weird fashion that makes sense. Oh, I know. Wait, I can't figure out the order of events here. Oh, Charlotte, we already talked about how she went down and harassed her black neighbor to try and force her to go to a dinner party. And the lady's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't go. And she's like, but I'm white and I'm asking you to a dinner party. You have to come. And the lady's like, no, I don't. When they're all at the podcast office and the chick in the wheelchair comes in because... Again, we're checking boxes. It's like the affirmative action bingo. I don't know what's good. Now, I'm not saying the woman.
I don't.
I'm saying so many incorrect things. I'm sure she was a fine actress, and I'm sure was deserving of the role. It was just because of so many other things that they're bad, lazy choices or obvious choices that. Here comes a bitch in a fucking wheelchair. I mean, are you serious? Like, I'm waiting for Helen Keller to go down the hallway. I think it's coming.
Well, I think this is what I think with that kind of thing. Like, that's why I was saying like lazy. Like, it's so lazy to pick like a stereotype, or instead of giving someone a story like a narrative, they like shove her in a wheelchair. Like, we'll make her different.
That is her story. That's her whole
wheelchair. That's
her
it.
identity.
That's it.
I'm black. I'm black, period. I'm in a wheelchair, period. I'm gay, period. That's all you need to know. I bring nothing to I'm non-binary and have oh, you know what's so weird? Going back to like the last, one of the last episodes, that comedy shows, I heard somebody else mention this. What comedy show have you ever been to where it's standing room only? Why was nobody sitting down? Wasn't that weird?
There's all kinds of weird about that.
Well, anyway, and one more thing that was not my thought that I heard somebody else say is, in the old episodes, Carrie was narrating the episode, which helped move it along. There's no narration. Why? She would say, I couldn't help but wonder, and she'd be typing on her laptop. Was Miranda making the right decision by fucking her black neighbor? You remember? Because she was writing her newspaper article. But now the bitch doesn't write anything anymore. She's doing the podcast, so there's no narration. I think narration would help. Then she could just be like, then the office manager came in, rolling in on her brand new wheelchair. She talked to my non-binary boss, and then I turned to my Asian coworker and said, do you have any black friends? I mean, really. I know I'm really driving this into the ground, and then they have a hot Australian guy come in with perfect teeth, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Did you not get the memo? Do you have some kind of disability or something? Otherwise, get out.
We need a visual. We know that you're a minority, or you're,
like, were you in Iraq? Like, do you have a bionic arm? Yeah. Like, what's going on? I need something. Otherwise, you don't belong here. Hold on, I'm going through. Yeah, it is weird. They have, now in the original series, Stanford would sit and smoke with Carrie in her apartment and drink martinis. Now they've just slotted Anthony in there because he's available and has no life apparently. Is that what you want to do when your husband runs off to Japan to be a manager of a TikToker? Is go hang out with their best friend and get drunk? I know you've been in that situation personally. So
there's worse things.
Would you want to hang out with Carrie?
No, I just don't know what they're doing. So I feel like this is all a waste of time. Like, a lot of this is a waste of time and filler. I think having him there is filler. He's not funny. I don't think he does anything for the story. It's just replacing Stanford because he died. That's it.
I agree. What's with... Okay. Miranda, now, not only is she on the sexuality spectrum or whatever, she's dabbling in lesbianism. Now she's also an alcoholic. I mean, everybody has somebody's fucked up. Charlotte's a racist or ignorant. She doesn't know that other races exist, so she's a moron. Miranda is a drunk, cheating, somewhat lesbian, and Carrie in the next episode breaks her fucking hip. So we've got, again, I think they just they wrote ideas on Post-it notes and just threw darts at a dartboard, and we're like, okay, that'll do.
Do you think they're writing these stories with, like, the magnetic poetry?
Yes, ad lib.
Like,
I totally think Mad Libs.
Mad Libs, right. Fill in the space.
Somebody's got to get
Carrie
hit by a
went
car
to-
this week. Who's it going to be? Put a blindfold on. Like, pin the tail on the donkey.
Well, it'll be Steve because he's losing his hearing and he won't hear the car coming. There, I just fucking wrote a whole fucking episode.
And I think you did a better job than they did. Honestly, it would have taken them days and thousands of dollars to come up with that. And why is Miranda having dinner with her professor? I know that they're both adults, but who does that?
I thought they were supposed to be making out. Like, what happened?
No,
I thought
she's
they
like
were
a-
the relationship.
I would have preferred that. She's like a bonus character. Like, why do we care about her and her fertility struggle? Again.
Okay, so I think part of this is what I think, and I don't know. I don't really have I don't know. But, you know, they got criticized during this season for only having one black character, which was Jennifer Hudson, Carrie's, like, assistant, right?
Yeah, the help.
And I think isn't that right?
Yeah. I was making a joke.
Okay,
saying
because
she
I know
was
they
the
got
help.
criticized. Well, they got criticized for not having more diverse cast. So I don't know if maybe they thought, like, felt offended by that or something, and then they were like, "We're gonna mix this shit all up."
They
asked for it,
overcorrected. They overcorrected because none of this feels organic, except for, I would say,
They're just trying really hard. It seems like they're trying really hard. That's
like I'm all for if it.
I mean, diversity is great, but it just seems like they're
Of
trying so
course.
hard. It's like,
if it felt
on
organic
yourself.
or real or honest or true to the characters, that would be one thing. But I mean, believe it or not, there are groups of white women, black women, all ethnicities, all different kinds of people. There are groups of deaf people that hang out. I used to work at a restaurant. A whole group of deaf people would come in. Sometimes people just hang with people who look like them or in the same socioeconomic situation that they are. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't mean the show can't be inclusive. It's just, it all feels so forced. I think that Charlotte's pretty neighbor is probably the most, and Seema, the realtor. Those feel pretty organic, but this thing with the professor, why is she here? I don't care. Just so Miranda could make an ignorant statement about her hair and embarrass herself, and we could all form an opinion about her. Like,
well, now maybe something's going to happen. I mean, it's not over yet, so maybe something will happen with that
Unfortunately.
character. Let's hope for that.
maybe she'll get hit by the car.
No, maybe. Maybe
don't-
she'll be trying to save Steve. Steve will be walking across the street, and a car will be coming, and she'll dive and tackle him out of the way.
And then she falls and loses the baby. Wow, that really went dark. That got dark.
Oh my god! And then Miranda spends the rest of her life trying to pay her back at the end. I don't know.
And she's like, "Can I pay?
Carries her baby for her.
Can I pay you for your dead baby?" Okay, we're taking it too far. Let's talk about that. I did want to mention this, which I think that this was a reaction to the criticism, mostly ours, obviously, the HBO has released a special podcast called, and just like that, The Writer's Room, which is basically the writers explaining why they are shitty writers and why they ruined this iconic show. And I haven't exactly listened to it yet, but that's my estimate. That's my guess. I will be listening to it. I can't wait to hear why they made these decisions. But there's a video component too on the app. But somebody says, oh, they have a quote that's not credited to anyone that says the podcast, The Writer's Room, is tragically hip. Oh, wait, is that maybe that's the title of the episode.
That's the episode.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Christ. Would you like to start on this one?
All right, let's see. So this was episode 5. Mm-hmm. All right. So the first thing that I came to, that I thought of when I was watching this is those people that carry her around are like her sycophants. Like Charlotte and Miranda, they just kiss her ass.
They have nothing else going on.
I made a chart for Carrie and her healing, how she's going to... I'm like, Carrie would never do this for you. Why are you doing this for her? Why aren't you your own people? Why do you have to report to her?
That might be my favorite way to sum up this whole series, actually. Why aren't you your own fucking people? Why is everybody just an accessory? Right. Carrie's obsessed with shoes. Maybe she thinks of people as accessories as well. Well, she always was very self-involved and narcissistic. But really, like
that thing I sent you from Kath and Kim, where Kim's like, everyone here is so selfish. Why isn't anyone thinking about me?
I can't stay at home alone on a Saturday night. How would that look?
How would that look?
But
what's in it for me?
What's in it for me? This episode, I'm sending you a few of my favorite screenshots of how fucking awful. It's like they had to try. Sarah Jessica Parker, I know we disagree on this, but I really don't think she's ugly. I think they're making her look haggard on purpose, and I don't know why.
Did I say she's ugly?
In not so many words. I may have,
I said it.
That was my takeaway. Anyway, she's taken Seema into her townhouse, which is so cute. What's weird is in like the second movie, I think they redecorated the whole thing and it was all blue. Like her apartment, it was really it wasn't pretty. So I'm glad they redecorated. But I do like seeing her in her old apartment, except it's all dark and dreary, and she's like bringing big ashes in, and the ceiling's got water damage, and Seema's like, we could sell this dump on next week, just say the word. And Carrie's like, no, I'm going to live here, or I'm going to die here and retire here. And I love climbing up the stairs with my cane because it's so nostalgic. And I'm like, bitch, move on.
Jesus.
Let go. But,
well, I mean, the whole, like, Carrie, them, like, kissing her ass and all this stuff just carries through this whole episode. And not to jump to the end, but I am for a sec.
No, jump around. I am too.
Is whenever... Yeah, Miranda, she, like, got finger fucked or whatever by Che in the kitchen. And Carrie gets so pissed. Ha ha ha. Get it? Pissed.
And doesn't it seem like an inappropriate reaction too? Like an overreaction?
Well,
huh?
Well, yes. Well, this is what I'm saying, is that these bitches have done so many bad things and so many, like, slutty things and shady things and stupid things. Why is Carrie getting so mad about this? I'm like, Carrie, you've done shit like this before. Shut the fuck up. She thinks the world revolves around her.
She does.
And she's like, you weren't there for me. I was alone. Did you say you needed help? Well, was this left on the cutting room floor? Because I don't recall you saying that you needed help. I don't recall you saying anything. And you were getting so mad at Miranda for doing something that you probably
piss in a Fanta bottle and then spilled it on your sheets like some old feeble idiot. Like, what the fuck? I mean, if I woke up, first of all, and Carrie's like, I have to pee, but it's not like I have to pee. Can somebody help me? It's like, I have to pee now. Like, yes. Whoa, are you incontinent now too? Like, just add that to the list of ailments. But
well, and while she was peeing, she was like, am I peeing now? And we all hear it. You can hear it. And I'm like, she can't hear herself peeing because I can hear it and I'm not even in the room with her.
She got what Steve got. It's going around, deafness.
Oh, no. Well, one thing I want to say
mm-hmm.
about the whole Miranda Che lesbian thing, I kept thinking after that I watched this, I'm like, where have I seen this story before? This is a stolen-ass storyline. What is it? I know what it is. It came to me today. It's Desperate Housewives, Catherine's character.
Oh, yeah?
Dana Delaney.
Yeah.
She became a lesbian. And I'm like, oh my
she
God,
boning?
this is that story. The blonde chick. I don't know. Blonde girl.
Not
sure.
Not Edie.
But it.
Oh, yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes.
it
That
was,
sexy girl from Jawbreaker.
Yes.
God, she is so hot.
Yeah, so I was like, this story sounds so familiar to me. And then I thought of it today, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but she wasn't a non-binary, and it wasn't in your apartment, and you hadn't just shattered your hip. By the way, I love how they rebrand a broken hip as like a genetical genital condition that just happened to pop up. Whatever, bitch. You're old. You got your bones are brittle. I just said she wasn't old. Now I'm making fun of her age. But anyway, the broken hip connotation just screams elderly. Okay, we all know it. But I was just gonna say, if I was in bed, incapacitated or whatever, as I have been many times, drunk or otherwise, and I open one eyeball because I'm like, I gotta make my way to the restroom. I might need assistance, and I saw, let's say you were my helper for the day, my sycophant, and you were in the kitchen getting finger banged and choked out, and and getting finger fucked. I would have the courtesy to wait till you came to ask for assistance. I would not throw a temper tantrum, piss all over my sheets, and then scream at you when you try to help me change the sheets. Like, what a fucking brat. And a wood killer. Like how that is common decency to wait till somebody comes to bring up your issue.
Well, right, for sure. And this is the fact that I just kept thinking, I'm like, all of you bitches have done some terrible ass shit or dirty shit or however you want to judge it. I'm not judging. I'm just saying they've all done all kinds of things, and she's all getting mad at Miranda for something that is totally not that big of a fucking deal. And it's your own fault you pissed in your bed because you didn't say you needed help. So shut the fuck up, bitch.
And she's like, she's my boss, and they're my boss. And I'm like, the boss doesn't care about you anyway. They already said you're not doing a great job on the show. Like, you're a has-been, you're a nobody. They don't even like you on the podcast.
More than once. More than once.
The Che had more. I'm going to say her because I'm getting confused. She had more people at her stand-up show than even know who Carrie Bradshaw is in my mind. Like, she's like washed up. Okay, that's why she's the third host on her failing podcast, and the wheelchair girl had to come in and tell her it sucked. But anyway, yeah, threw a temper tantrum. Hold on, something else happened here. Oh, let's get into. She did have the surgery, by the way. I got the picture of her in the hospital bed. Why is this necessary? Do we need to see her looking like shit, like Grandma Moses in a hospital bed, like a posturepedic?
She has most of this whole series looked shitty to me.
I think Miranda's got a wig on, but it's a pretty good one. It needs a little more root realness, though. I learned that term from Wendy. Okay, let's talk about Charlotte's child coming out as non-binary, or on their gender journey. Hey, this is your area. Let's go.
This is my area. Well, I don't know.
It's wrong.
I feel
no,
like
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I feel like they're connecting the dots here. Like, they're not saying anything interesting. So they're presenting this as if their audience has no idea what they're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're presenting it to, like, they're reaching out to the 50s housewife who sits at home and reads magazines and cooks things in the microwave and has a cookbook for cooking things in microwaves. Like, somebody who's totally has been up their ass. That's how
just sits in a rocking chair on a porch drooling. And
yeah, like, they're like, you mean she's changed her name and we didn't know about it? Why is she doing this? Is she mad at us? And, like, they're acting like nobody has ever heard of this before. Who do they think is watching the show?
They've done that. They've kind of had a history of doing this too. Like Carrie didn't have a cell phone till the very last season of the show, when it was like way past the time that everybody had cell phones. It was really bizarre. But yes, like, what's a non-binary? Charlotte, she doesn't know what black people are. Non-binary, forget it. Like, she's never going to grasp this concept. Or whatever. I don't even think they've said the non-binary word yet. But basically, in a nutshell,
they have.
Have they? She's on a Zoom meeting.
They mentioned it like the teachers did when they were talking to them.
Okay. In the
But
school meeting.
anyway,
She's
go
on a
on.
Zoom meeting with the moms from the school, and apparently they all know that her daughter Rose has said, "I'd like to be referred to as Rock now," which I think is a great name, by the way. I like that name. And Charlotte's like, "Who's Rock? Is there a new student? Are they black?" They're like, "No." They're like, "No, it's your kid. Bye."
Bye.
Then the chic new neighbor is like, she's got to clue Charlotte in because she's basically her seeing eye person.
Yeah, she's like, we have a bad connection here.
She's like, Charlotte, do you have Wi-Fi? Have you ever cracked
I
a
can
book
see
open?
you. She's like, that doesn't work. If you're on a call with somebody and you went off, like a Zoom call, don't be like, we have a bad connection, because they can see you doing that.
Charlotte actually can't see black people. She has black people blindness. It's a genital condition where you're just unable to see other races. Anyway, that's how it comes across. I'm kidding, of course. Anyway, so she asks Rose, like, what the fuck? And Rose is like, I don't know. Am I getting this right? I might be out of order. Anyway. She goes to the school.
Oh, so she... Yeah, they talk. She talks to Rose, who's like, yeah, they call me Rock. Here's my TikTok video of me going, my name's Rock, R-O-C-K. And so then they go to the teacher and they're like, why didn't you tell us about this? And they're like, I don't know. That's it.
They're like, because why? Who gives a shit? Because it's. I mean, really. Like it's some big deal. It's not like she brought a gun to school. She changed her name. Like it's fine. She hasn't even like buzzed all her hair off yet. We all know it's coming.
Well, the one thing too is that why did they expect a teacher to tell them or something like that? Because like what, they think something's wrong? Like the teacher should be like, your child wants to be changed their name to Rock. Like it's some bad thing. The teacher was like, oh, that's great, honey. That's great to hear. Sure, we'll call you Rock. Moving on. And the parents are like, why didn't you tell us? Like she brought a gun to school or something. Like,
Well, I just think it's because they haven't, in our day we had gay conversion therapy. Some of the best 6 weeks of my life. But, now they don't have non-binary, I'm joking. They don't have non-binary conversion therapy yet, but it is, like an up-and-coming market. There's a hole in the market. So I think once that happens, once the super Christians come... No, I don't think it's a good thing. I'm just saying. You don't think that's going to happen?
I know. Don't put that out of the universe.
It's those Westboro Baptist people, they are on it. They have a business plan. They're meeting with it's happening. Anyway. And there's no For Dummies book yet either. So Charlotte is very confused. Harry's like, I don't really give a shit.
He's like, I just need my colonoscopy. That's all I care about.
And his colonoscopy, which they've mentioned about 5 times, and then he's like sweating, so he might be hit croaking too by the end of the season. But
oh, you think that's it? That's foreshadowing?
Why would you? Yeah, why bring that up so many times? Colonoscopy.
Because they're all old, and they're trying to talk about how old they are. Broken hip, colonoscopy. Whatever.
I don't know. Couldn't he have something else like glaucoma? I don't know. Why go straight for the ass? I don't know. I gotta listen to that podcast.
Oh, losing their hearing. Don't forget losing their hearing.
They're deaf.
Getting hit by a bus.
They're reserving rooms at the nursing home. They're getting the early bird special. It's just so strange. But the school's like, yeah, get over it. Like, we're just gonna call your kid what they want because it's self-discovery or whatever. And it's trending on TikTok, so What else happened? Anything?
Well, they talked about, I guess we're kind of almost to the end with this episode, I guess. Because the part with Samantha, where I guess, Carrie told a diaphragm story, which was like the only interesting story, I guess, she ever told on the podcast. Because they're like, yeah, keep taking those drugs. You're actually funny. And so she's like texting Samantha and telling her she told the story. And I loved, and I was like, when she typed, "I miss you," I'm like, please, 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 please.
I know.
And it looked like she starts typing and stopped. And then it happened. And I literally was like, yes!
I
What I wanted.
I hate that there's a ghost Samantha actress texting Carrie. I think that is so fucking lame and kind of disrespectful. But I do love that the ghost Samantha is a bitch.
Cheap and lazy. Lazy.
Even the ghost
Lazy
Samantha
writing.
hates Carrie, which I think is great.
That was awesome when that did that. I was so hoping it would, and it did.
Hold on,
And do you think
go ahead.
Do you think it's weird that Samantha would be living in London? Samantha does not seem like a London person. It's like rainy and cold there. She seems like she's gonna live in like at minimum Miami. At minimum.
Well, you know,
like,
she actually is
somewhere-
British. She's from London.
Who is? Samantha?
Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall is British?
Well, I think she was born in England, but real young. I think she moved to Canada and then America. I don't know why I know this. Random ass. I can't remember people's names.
I don't know either.
I know
but
her
she
last
doesn't have an
name.
accent, though, does she?
Well, that's funny. You should
does
mention that she has the Gillian Andersons, where when she's over there, she kind of uses the accent, but when she's over here, she doesn't.
Ah.
Very uncomfortable. But
Well, that may be, but that character does not seem like a London to me.
no, I think it's super dramatic to say that. First of all, I always thought the argument or the reasoning that Carrie had to fire her as a publicist because there's nobody buys books anymore. That's ridiculous. Samantha was always rich. She didn't need Carrie. She did Carrie favors for free. She threw her fucking book party and stuff in past seasons. Samantha was not struggling for cash. She had all that money from her boyfriend, movie star. They were in fucking Dubai riding around in those expensive foreign cars that nobody's ever heard of. I mean, give me a break. She has diamonds for breakfast.
She spreads La Mer on toast.
La Mer on toast. Okay, so Miranda goes to have a non-binary lunch with Che. Oh, I know.
Okay, so I was triggered by that scene. Go ahead and I'll tell you why I was triggered.
I think I jumped ahead because right after Carrie pissed herself in her Depends and her sheets and whatever, she's like, "What are you doing getting finger banged in my kitchen when I have to pee?" She's totally overlooking the fact that Charlie's number one cheating on her husband with a non-binary person in her kitchen. She's like, "I had to pee. What are you doing?" And Miranda's like having a whole mental a full crisis. She's like, "What if my life's just not enough?" And I'm like, "Bitch, you've had a pretty good one, but okay." Carrie's still talking about her fucking wet sheets. Anyway, the non-binary lunch. What happened there?
I was triggered. I felt like I was on a date watching that, and it just made me think of how when people sort of meet, they talk too much. Like, they were saying so much about each other, that especially Che, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to hear this. Like, I just think about the dates I've been on recently and how, especially because I've been on a few, so every time you go, you just feel like oversharing, and people overshare, and they just talk and talk, and then the date goes nowhere, you don't go out again, and you're like, I just had to sit through how much fucking time learning some bullshit about somebody that I don't even care about. And that's what made me think about when I was watching that.
It's like putting on a one-woman show every time. It's a lot of work. And, like, that's why, like, sometimes, not that I've been on a date recently, but I'll be like, how about we just skip the, like, life story portion and just try to enjoy what we're doing? An activity or something. We'll get to the other stuff. If we have chemistry, I'll figure out, that your parents got divorced when you were 5 and it was really traumatic for you. I'll figure that out later. Like, I don't need to know that right now. Some people really spill their guts. And I am admittedly an overshare too, clearly. But, yeah. What was Che going on about? Like, her whole, like, she was explaining, like, the whole struggle of being non-binary, not fitting in. And I'm like, thank you for spelling it out yet again. I was waiting for the wheelchair chick to come in and ask if they wanted to order dessert.
Carrying a tray of desserts.
Like, can I interest you in some pie? Would you like today's selections?
She rolls in with this giant silver tray of, like, pieces of cake.
And since now that they've had to, and I'm not laughing at that Stanford's dead, but now that there's some plot holes because of his absence, they have to fill it in with Anthony's hot guy bread delivery truck, which does sounds more like an LA thing, but I'm sure that exists in New York. And he gets a hot bread guy to crippled Carrie up the steps, and we're supposed to just be, oh, this is so cute and charming, and I'm just like, God, can we just get this over with? I don't even want to watch the rest of it.
It would have been really funny if he he's like, what am I ready for? And he goes, for me, which made me think of Elvira. You ready for me? So he carries her up, and she's like, oh, this is so great. He just drops her into the chair.
She falls down like Madeline Ashton. You pushed me down the stairs. She's eating a baguette the whole time. Like, we got it. He makes fucking bread. Okay, we got it.
And this just made me think of, did you watch the show The Critic when it was on, the animated show?
No, but I do remember bits and pieces. Okay, and nothing of value was lost. I love that gift.
Well, this is the stretch. So this bus pulls up, and this woman who's like, I don't know if she's into the city from the country. Long story short. And she getting off the bus, and she's standing in the doorway, and she goes, I always depended on the kindness of strangers. And this guy shoves her off the bus. She's like, because he's in the city now. That's what made me think of this. She's like, oh yes, this is great, carry me. And he just throws her into the chair.
I love just random acts of, violence. And
well, it would just be funny because it's so stupid. And it's if you're going to go stupid, let's go really stupid.
Well, Carrie Bradshaw is very stupid. I mean, she can't even make it back into her apartment without a whole production, a bread truck, models, gays surrounding her. Even Charlotte's got to be there. It's like a fucking
wedding.
Her and Charlotte,
she's getting married everywhere she goes.
That is such a perfect way of putting it. Her and Charlotte's there for no reason at all other than she thought, well, they were going around the city looking to see if they could spot a black person.
Oh, and
I'm not letting that go. I can't get past it.
Well, when Carrie was peeing, Charlotte's she's like, you have to stay and help me up. Well, can't Charlotte step out until you finish peeing and then pick you up? Why'd you make her stand in front of you while you peed? You're
bitch,
so
do I gotta wipe your pussy for you? What the fuck?
Right, can't I just step out and come back in a minute? Jesus.
Pardon me, I had to blow my nose or something. Or, I had to take a call.
Would I look like Donald Trump? Do I look like Donald Trump? I don't want to see your pee video.
The whole thing is nuts. I didn't even watch the preview for next week because I know it's gonna suck. But we're gonna talk about it anyway, of course, and put a YouTube video up.
Now, yes, I mean we hate watching things, and this is no exception.
It is. I have to say though, it is fun to not stop, but take a hiatus from hating Drag Race, because now I'm gonna come back with new eyes, and I'll be hating it for all new reasons. But this has been a fun little jaunt into a different category since, we could never really agree on anything to watch.
Yeah, that is tough for us.
But
yeah, so no, I'm enjoying hating this. I really am.
I love that. And by the way, that Miranda getting finger banged in the kitchen has become a viral meme on Twitter. There's all just, we'll find some and post them, but because it was so over the top, she's like, oh, have you ever not to get too personal, have you ever came that hard in your life?
No, it sounded like she was trying to struggle to open a jar of pickles.
It sounded like they were ripping Terry Schiavo's feeding tube out. She was like, oh!
Yeah. Right. Something
No!
You just had to go down the Terry Schiavo hole.
I thought Samara was going to crawl out of the television or out of a well or something. It was getting really weird. It was like a horror movie. I was like, is she enjoying this? What's going on? And then Che just walks off like full lesbian energy, just like, yeah, I did that.
Peace, bitch.
Peace.
Yeah, she was.
She probably
Wanna
went
hang again,
straight.
let me know. Bye.
She went right downstairs and polished off the neighbor. I mean, it was just another day for her. And Miranda her life is in shambles now. She has no idea what's going on. She's like, "What do? I just had the best orgasm of my life," and she's just like, it was just a Tuesday for me, girl."
Right, you know that's gonna happen. She's gonna be falling in love with Shay, and Shay's gonna be like, "No." I know what's gonna happen. She's gonna go, "No, you have your life. You have Steve, and he loves you, and you have a great family. So do you really want to throw that away on me?"
Then Miranda's gonna slaughter her whole family.
I'm writing a whole episode here. Just give me a sec. So I have this show. I have to take it on the road eventually. So I'm not even going to be around. So you should go back to your Look, I could go on. I'm writing the show. You're welcome.
So Miranda goes straight. She buys a gun. She goes home, slaughters her whole family. She's like, "Guess what? My schedule opened up. I'm free to come with you." I'm a little... okay.
Well, the question is, what song would they be playing while she murders her family in slow motion? I think
I
the
love
Bang
this.
Bang...
Bang, bang, into
Cher,
the
but
room.
not the Cher version.
Wait, what?
There. Okay, that one would be good. I was thinking, "Bang, bang, you shot me down, bang." I think I stole that from Quentin Tarantino, though.
After all the starts and stops, we keep coming back to these two hearts.
She comes in, she busts open the door. "Anybody order room service?"
Does somebody order room service? Womanizer. I don't know. I think I would prefer an upbeat with a slow-mo. Something like very Kill Bill.
Well, maybe it's a holiday episode. It's "Merry Christmas, Darling" by the Carpenters. I don't know.
That would be great. Oh, wait. Nobody has an eating disorder yet? Next week.
Speaking of the Carpenters.
How many bulimia references can we make in one episode?
Oh, Lord.
Well, it's been real. This has been very fun. I enjoyed it.
It's been fun.
I missed you. Did you miss me?
Oh, I missed you. And Drag Race starts tomorrow night, so we'll be talking about season 14 this weekend.
Oh my God, I'm very busy watching television full time.
There's a lot.
It's a lot to watch, and yeah, but I am gonna get that cheat sheet with I'm gonna do a whole Brady Bunch with those names. If somebody else doesn't do it on the internet, which they usually do, I'm not playing the name game. It takes up too much time. But thank you all so much for listening. Now, listen, if you're listening to this on YouTube, we do have a podcast. It's called Drag Dungeon. It's everywhere. Please subscribe to that. And we have a Patreon like everybody else on planet Earth because we're out here trying to make a coin. In a man's world. Patreon.com/Drag Dungeon. Yeah, and it's only $3 a month. I mean, that's nothing. That's like, I don't know. How much does Oxycontin cost? It's cheap.
I don't know. Let me watch that episode of like donating to starving children. Don't they break down the math of how much it is per day?
Yes. And now look, this is
a month only.
This is a humorous show, so please, if you were offended by anything, tell somebody else because we don't care. But thank you very much. And follow us on Instagram at Drag Dungeon. We're everywhere at Drag Dungeon. Please join us. We have so much fun. And we will talk to you very soon. See you next time.